To my wife Isabella, who's mastered the art of doing absolutely nothing while I built everything we have. Derek stood there at my own birthday party, champagne glass raised, smiling like he'd just told the world's funniest joke. She's lucky I'm generous enough to share my success with her. The table went quiet. Nervous laughter rippled through the guests. And at the far end of the table, I saw her. Vanessa, 20-something, wearing the sapphire necklace I'd mentioned wanting months ago. She was smirking. Derek sat down without even looking at me. That's when I decided to show him exactly what nothing looked like. My name is Isabella. I'm 34 years old. And that night was supposed to be a celebration. I met Derek 12 years ago in grad school. I was getting my MBA. He was in engineering. Smart guy. Brilliant, actually. But he had this idea for a tech platform and absolutely no clue how to turn it into a real business. That's where I came in. We built his company together, from the ground up. I handled the business strategy, the legal incorporation, the contracts, the investor negotiations. He developed the product. We were a team, partners, or at least, that's what I thought we were. For years, I worked behind the scenes while Derek became the public face of the company. I didn't mind. I wasn't the flashy type. I believed partnership meant supporting each other quietly. And when we went through personal struggles, infertility treatments, failed IVF cycles, months of hoping and heartbreak, I stepped back from the public-facing role. That's when everything changed. Derek started taking full credit for the success. All of it. In interviews, he'd talk about his vision and his execution. My name disappeared from the story entirely. He became distant, condescending. He treated me like decorative arm candy instead of the woman who'd built the legal and financial foundation of everything he was celebrating. I wasn't rich or glamorous by myself, but I had something they all underestimated. My name was still on the founding documents. I still held critical IP rights from the early strategic work. I wasn't the flashy one at parties. I wasn't the one on magazine covers. But I was the one who made sure the foundation was solid. And Derek forgot that foundations can crumble. If you've ever been pushed aside by family, subscribe right now and tell me where you're watching from. Derek insisted on throwing this elaborate birthday party, expensive restaurant, all his colleagues, investors, business partners. I felt uneasy during the planning. He'd been secretive, strange. But I hoped maybe he was trying to reconnect. Maybe this was his way of showing me I still mattered. I was so wrong. Dinner started normally enough. Champagne, appetizers, polite conversation about tech trends and market expansions. I smiled, nodded, played the role I'd been shoved into. Then Derek stood up. He tapped his glass with a fork. Everyone went quiet. "I'd like to make a toast," he said, "to my beautiful wife on her birthday." I smiled. For a second, I thought maybe I'd been paranoid. Maybe tonight would be okay. "Some people are builders," Derek continued, "and some are passengers. Isabella's been along for the ride, and I'm grateful she hasn't gotten in the way." The air left the room. A few people laughed nervously. Someone, I think it was Tom, his business partner, tried to redirect. "Derek, come on." But Derek kept going. "She's great at shopping and planning parties. Everyone has their talents, right?" More uncomfortable laughter. I felt my face burning. "Here's to another year of me working while she enjoys the fruits." He raised his glass. Some people raised theirs out of sheer awkwardness. Derek drank. Sat down. Didn't even look at me. That's when I saw her clearly. Vanessa. Late 20s, perfect hair, sitting at the end of the table like she belonged there. And that necklace, the sapphire one I'd shown Derek 3 months ago, saying maybe for our anniversary. She was wearing it. Tom leaned over and whispered, "He's had too much to drink. Don't take it seriously." But I knew better. This wasn't alcohol. This was what he really believed. I excused myself to the bathroom. My hands were shaking. I walked past the tables, past the dim lighting and expensive wine bottles, into the hallway. That's when I heard her voice, Vanessa, on her phone, standing just around the corner. "He's doing it tonight, just like we planned," she said. "She'll be out by next week." My stomach dropped. I pulled out my phone. New email. Time stamped 6:04 p.m., right in the middle of dinner. From Derek's lawyer. The subject line. Draft divorce agreement. Confidential. I opened it. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped the phone. Asset division. Everything to Derek. The reasoning? He solely built the business, and I contributed no significant value. This wasn't a drunken toast. This was a planned execution. He wanted to humiliate me publicly, break me down, make me so desperate that I'd sign whatever papers he put in front of me. I stood there in that hallway, staring at my phone, and something inside me shifted. I walked back to the table. Dessert was being brought out. An elaborate birthday cake. 3 tiers. Probably cost more than most people's rent. Derek barely glanced at me as I sat down. He was already back to talking business with his investors. That's when the second round started. Robert, one of Derek's investor friends, looked at me with this patronizing smile. Isabella, what do you even do all day? Before I could answer, Derek jumped in. She's a professional wife, aren't you, honey? The table laughed. Actually laughed. I tried to speak. Actually, in the early days of the company, I handled all the... Derek cut me off. That was just paperwork, sweetheart. The real work is what I do. The vision, the execution. Vanessa chimed in from across the table. Some women are just better at supporting roles. There's no shame in that. I stared at her. This woman, wearing my necklace, sleeping with my husband, now lecturing me about my role. Derek announced loudly, Vanessa joined our team 6 months ago as marketing director. Brilliant mind, unlike some people. The insult was so obvious that even the investors looked uncomfortable. My friend Madeline, who was sitting 3 seats down, looked horrified. Then the waiter brought the check. Derek made this elaborate show of pulling out the company card, held it up like a trophy. Good thing someone in this marriage earns money, right? A few people chuckled nervously. Then he turned to me directly. Isabella, didn't you try to start that consulting thing last year? Whatever happened with that? My throat tightened. I had tried. I'd wanted to use my MBA, my experience. But Derek had sabotaged it, refused to give me shared office space, made me feel guilty for wasting time when I could be supporting him. Some people are entrepreneurs, Derek said, shaking his head like I was a failed science experiment. Some people just aren't built for it, can't all be winners. His investor friends nodded along. One of them said, Derek, you're generous to support her hobbies like that. It's my responsibility as a husband, right? Derek said, for better or worse, for richer or poorer. He looked directly at me when he said, poorer. I checked my phone under the table, another email from his lawyer. This one outlined minimal alimony, 0 business stake. The email literally stated, client's wife contributed no significant intellectual property or business value to enterprise. I felt something cold settle in my chest. Then Derek stood up again, tapped his glass. I have big news, he announced. Everyone turned to him. I'm expanding the company, going national, maybe international. Huge investor meeting next week. Cheers, congratulations, handshakes. It's time for a new chapter in my life, Derek continued, personally and professionally. When he said personally, he looked straight at Vanessa. Someone asked, That's exciting, Derek. What does Isabella think about the expansion? Derek barely glanced at me. Oh, she'll be fine. She's adaptable. Isn't that right, sweetheart? The translation was crystal clear to everyone at that table. He was leaving me, publicly signaling it. Vanessa raised her glass. To new beginnings. Derek clinked his glass against hers, completely ignored mine sitting right beside him. Madeline mouthed to me from down the table, Are you okay? I excused myself again. This time Madeline followed me to the bathroom. The second the door closed, she exploded. This is abuse, Isabella. Public humiliation. You need to leave him. I'm going to, I said. My voice was steady, calm, but not the way he expects. Madeline stared at me. What do you mean? I've known about the affair for 2 weeks, I said. Her eyes went wide. What? Lipstick on his collar. Classic, right? I almost laughed. I didn't confront him. I called Jennifer instead. Jennifer? Your law school roommate? Corporate attorney, I said. We've been preparing. Preparing what? I looked at her directly. He thinks I'm stupid. He thinks I just signed papers and smiled for photos. He forgot who actually built the legal foundation of his empire. What Derek didn't know, what nobody knew, was what I'd done 10 years ago. When we founded the company, I had the business training. Derek just had a product idea. A good one, yes. But an idea isn't a company. I filed all the incorporation paperwork. I structured the LLC and operating agreement. I negotiated the first investor contracts and terms. And I filed the core algorithm patent. I made myself legal co-founder with 49% ownership. Derek had 51, majority stake. He assumed that meant total control. It didn't. Over the years, he'd assumed I'd transferred everything to him, or that his majority stake was enough. I never transferred anything. Here's the critical detail. That algorithm patent, the one the entire platform runs on, was filed under my name initially, then licensed to the company under a renewable annual agreement. Renewable, requiring my signature for any transfer. Without my cooperation, Derek couldn't sell the company, merge or expand without massive legal complications. 2 weeks ago, when I found the lipstick, I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I called Jennifer. We reviewed every document from the last decade. Turns out Derek had been trying to restructure the company to cut me out completely. But legally, he couldn't. Not without my signature. His lawyer had probably told him he needed me to sign willingly. Hence the public humiliation strategy. Break my spirit. Make me desperate. The accidental divorce papers? Meant to panic me into signing anything he put in front of me. But what Derek didn't know was this. 2 days ago, I filed a legal injunction preventing any corporate changes without court review. I documented years of contributions, emails, strategic plans, pitch decks I wrote, early code comments. I had evidence of the affair, important for divorce proceedings. And that expansion Derek just announced to his investors, the one requiring new investor money? He legally couldn't accept it without my approval on corporate restructuring. He was announcing deals he couldn't actually close. By tomorrow, he'd look either incompetent or fraudulent to those investors. Madeline and I walked back to the table. The birthday cake was being served. 3 layers of elaborate frosting I'd never even asked for. Derek smirked at me. Hope you like it, Isabella. I picked it myself. You're not great with decisions. Vanessa laughed. Other guests shifted uncomfortably. I stayed calm, pulled out my phone. Texted Jennifer. It's time. Send everything. At the table, Derek was explaining his expansion plans in detail. Confident, arrogant. Robert asked, when can we see updated corporate structure documents? We'll need that before transferring funds. Derek didn't miss a beat. My team will send everything tomorrow. It's all handled. Completely clean. I spoke up. First time in over an hour. Actually, Derek, there might be a complication with that. The entire table went silent. Derek turned to me with this condescending smile. What are you talking about, sweetheart? The corporate structure can't be updated without all founders signing off, I said calmly. You know that. Honey, don't worry about business talk. Just enjoy your cake. I am a founder, Derek. 51% isn't absolute control when the core IP is held separately. His face changed. Just for a second. A flicker of real panic. Tom looked confused. What's she talking about, Derek? Nothing, Derek said quickly. Isabella doesn't understand how corporate structures work. My phone buzzed. Jennifer had sent the documents. I forwarded them to Derek's business email. CC'd all the investors at the table. I just sent you the incorporation documents, patent filings, and operating agreement, I said. Page 12 is particularly interesting. Derek grabbed his phone. His face went visibly pale as he opened the attachments. Robert checked his email. Derek, she's listed as co-founder here. You told us you were sole founder, Derek stammered. It's complicated. She just did initial paperwork. It doesn't mean… I did all the paperwork, I said, including filing the patent that your entire platform is built on. In my name. Dead silence. Vanessa looked panicked. Derek, what is she talking about? Tom was scrolling through the documents on his phone. The algorithm is licensed from Isabella to the company. Renewable annually. It renews next month. Derek stared at me. Isabella, this is insane. What are you doing? I stood up slowly. What I should have done when you started treating me like I was worthless. Robert set down his fork. We can't invest in a company with this kind of structural uncertainty. Derek, you told us this was clean. Derek tried to recover. It is clean. She's going to sign the renewal. Aren't you, Isabella? Everyone stared at me. No, I said. I'm not. Derek stood up so fast he knocked over his wineglass. Red wine spilled across the white tablecloth like blood. You can't do this. You're my wife. That's exactly why I can, I said. Because I know exactly what you built, and what I built. Vanessa stood up. This is insane. Derek, call your lawyer right now. I held up my phone. His lawyer? You mean the one who sent me draft divorce papers at 6 p.m. tonight, during my own birthday party? I showed the email, timestamp visible to everyone nearby. Madeline gasped, performatively, since she already knew. The investors exchanged uncomfortable looks. Derek's voice cracked. That wasn't supposed to… You weren't supposed to see that yet. Wasn't supposed to arrive until after you'd broken me publicly? I asked. After I was humiliated enough to sign anything? Tom looked at Derek. Is that true? You filed for divorce tonight? She's twisting this, Derek said desperately. Isabella, let's talk about this privately, okay? Like you privately told everyone here that I do nothing? I asked. Like you privately gave Vanessa the anniversary necklace I wanted? Vanessa unconsciously touched the necklace. I know about the affair, I said. I've known for weeks. I have emails, texts, hotel receipts, all documented and attached to the divorce filing that my lawyer submitted at 4 p.m. this afternoon. Derek's face completely drained of color. You already filed? Hours ago, I said. You should have checked your personal mail before planning this little performance. I opened my bag, pulled out a crisp folder, slid papers across the table to Derek. Here's what's going to happen, I said. That patent renewal due next month? I'm not renewing it under the current terms. The company can't function without that algorithm. Robert leaned forward. Wait, you'd destroy the whole company out of spite. No, I said. I'm offering to sell my entire stake. IP rights, shares, everything, back to the company, for fair market value. Derek looked at the number on the paper. This is everything we have in capital. We don't have this kind of cash. Then you'll need to find it, I said. I looked at the investors. Or perhaps you'd like to buy me out directly. You'd become majority stakeholders. The power shift happened in real time. I could see it in their faces. Tom's eyes widened. If we bought her stake, we'd control the company? 51% total, I said. Derek would be minority stakeholder working for you. You can't do this to me, Derek shouted. I can, I said calmly. And if nobody buys me out in 30 days, I'll license the patent to your biggest competitor. I already have a preliminary offer. I showed another email. Competitor company. Expression of interest in licensing deal. It might have been a bluff, but the threat was completely real and legal. Vanessa grabbed Derek's arm. Derek, tell them she's lying. Derek couldn't speak. He knew I wasn't lying. Or Derek, you can buy me out yourself, I said. Take out loans, leverage everything you own. Pay me what I'm actually owed. You get to keep your company. I built this company. Derek shouted. We built it, I said, steel in my voice. But only my name is on the core patent. You want to know why? Because 10 years ago, I didn't trust your first investor's buyout clause. I protected us. I protected you, and you forgot. I turned to the investors. Gentlemen, you have my lawyer's contact information in that email. Derek has 30 days to resolve this situation. I picked up my purse. Oh, and Derek, the apartment is in my name too. My parents gave the down payment as a wedding gift. To me specifically. You'll need to move out by Friday. Locks change Saturday morning. Where am I supposed to go? Derek asked. He actually looked panicked. I looked at Vanessa. I'm sure you two will figure something out. You're both so brilliant at planning after all. Vanessa looked horrified. Clearly wasn't planning to house a broke, disgraced boyfriend. I addressed the whole table. Thank you all for coming to my birthday party. It's been incredibly enlightening. I turned to leave. Derek grabbed my arm. Isabella, please, we can fix this. We can talk. I calmly removed his hand. You humiliated me in front of everyone I know. You tried to erase a decade of my work. You cheated and flaunted it at my own party. There's nothing left to fix. Tom stood up. Isabella, if you're serious about selling your stake, we should talk. Soon. Tom, don't you dare, Derek started. Derek, you lied about the corporate structure, Tom said. That's a deal breaker for us. I'm protecting my investment. The investors huddled together, talking in low voices. My lawyer will be in touch tomorrow, I said. Good night. I walked out with Madeline. Behind me, complete chaos erupted. Derek arguing desperately with investors. Vanessa trying to calm him, his empire visibly crumbling. I walked right past the birthday cake. Never even touched a slice. Outside, the cool night air hit my face. I could breathe again. Madeline grabbed my shoulders. Oh my God, that was the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Are you okay? I realized my hands were shaking, not from fear or sadness, pure adrenaline. I think I'm better than I've been in years, actually. We sat on a bench outside. Through the restaurant window, I could see Derek having a meltdown, investors leaving one by one. What happens now? Madeline asked. Really? I explained. The investors would almost certainly buy me out within the week. They couldn't afford this kind of uncertainty with their money at stake. I'd get approximately $2.3 million for my stake. The company was valued around $5 million total. Derek would either be forced out entirely or reduced to minority partner working under the investor's control. The affair would be documented in divorce proceedings. I'd get the apartment, half of savings, plus the buyout money. Vanessa would likely disappear once Derek had no money or power to offer. Did you mean it about licensing to competitors? Madeline asked. I have a meeting with them next week, I said. But honestly, I hope the investors just buy me out clean. I don't want to destroy what we built together. I just want what's mine. My phone rang. Jennifer. Robert just called me, she said. They want to meet tomorrow morning. They're very serious. I smiled. Tell them I'm available at 10 a.m. I hung up. Madeline looked at me. Happy birthday, Isabella. I laughed, genuine and real. You know what? It actually is. I thought about the last few years, feeling invisible, diminished, erased. I'd convinced myself that supporting Derek was love, that sacrifice meant silence, but he hadn't sacrificed anything. He'd just taken and taken. For years I believed his silence about my contributions meant I should stay quiet too. Tonight I learned that my voice was the one that mattered all along. If you've ever been made to feel small by someone who owed you respect, I see you. If you've ever had your work stolen, your voice silenced, or your worth questioned by the person who was supposed to love you, you're not alone. This story isn't just about revenge, it's about recognizing your value when everyone else has forgotten it. Where are you watching from? Drop your location in the comments. I read everyone and I want to hear your story. If someone you know needs to hear this message, share this video with them. And hit subscribe, because standing up for yourself is just the beginning. Remember, you're stronger than they ever told you. Don't forget that.